Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of a crowded room, surrounded by people who claim to love you deeply, yet every word they say, every gesture they make, feels like it's bouncing off an invisible wall. You feel empty, misunderstood, even though their intentions are pure. What if the problem isn't a lack of love, but a language barrier no one ever taught you to bridge? What if the key to unlocking the deepest connections in your life lies in discovering a hidden code, a set of 5 love languages that could transform your relationships forever? This isn't just a theory. It's a revelation that has saved countless marriages, mended family ties, and even boosted workplace harmony, all by revealing how we truly give and receive love in ways that often go unspoken. As we embark on this journey, you'll uncover not only the languages themselves but the subtle nuances, the real-life pitfalls, and the triumphant turnarounds that make this concept so enduringly powerful. Stick with me, and by the end, you might just find yourself reevaluating every interaction in your life, wondering how something so simple could hold such profound potential. Picture a couple, let's call them Alex and Jordan, who've been together for years, navigating the ups and downs of life with what seems like unbreakable camaraderie. They laugh at the same jokes, share the same dreams for the future, but lately, something's off. It's like an undercurrent of dissatisfaction that's hard to pinpoint. Alex pours heart and soul into grand gestures, like surprising Jordan with weekend getaways to secluded cabins where they can watch sunsets over misty mountains, or meticulously planned date nights complete with candlelit dinners, personalized playlists, and handwritten cards detailing cherished memories. But Jordan just nods politely, offering a half-smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes, all the while feeling a quiet ache inside, wondering why Alex can't simply sit down after a long day, put away the phone and all distractions, and engage in a genuine, heartfelt conversation about their hopes, fears, daily triumphs, and everything in between that makes life feel shared. Meanwhile, Alex feels exhausted and unappreciated, thinking, I've given so much. Why isn't it enough? Why does it feel like we're drifting apart despite all my efforts? Like ships passing in the night without ever truly docking. This isn't a story of fading passion or irreconcilable differences born from major conflicts. It's a classic case of speaking different love languages, a mismatch that happens all the time in marriages, friendships, parent-child bonds, sibling rivalries, and even professional relationships where emotional connections matter. As we journey through this exploration, inspired by the profound insights of Gary Chapman's work drawn from decades of counseling real people in real crises, you'll begin to see these patterns emerging in your own life, perhaps even feeling a spark of hope ignite as you realize how simple, yet transformative, it can be to learn and speak the language that resonates most deeply with those you care about. It's like finally finding the right frequency on a radio that's been static-filled for too long, tuning into clarity and warmth. To truly grasp the essence of this revolutionary idea, let's start by understanding the foundational concept at its heart. We all possess an emotional love tank, much like the fuel gauge in your car that tells you when you're running on fumes. When this tank is full to the brim, we feel secure, valued, energized, and ready to face the world's challenges with enthusiasm and resilience. But when it's empty or perilously low, we stall out. Relationships sputter and falter. Arguments flare up over seemingly trivial matters like who forgot to take out the trash, and that once vibrant sense of connection fades into a haze of resentment, loneliness, or quiet despair. Chapman, through years of observing couples teetering on the edge of collapse in his counseling office, realized that the key to keeping that tank consistently replenished isn't just about loving more intensely or frequently, but about loving smarter, more intentionally. It's about recognizing that love isn't a monolithic, one-size-fits-all emotion that everyone experiences identically. Instead, it's expressed and received through 5 distinct languages, each as unique and nuanced as a regional dialect in a foreign tongue, shaped by our personal histories, cultural influences, and innate preferences. These languages aren't rigid, unyielding boxes designed to cram people into stereotypes, but rather fluid, adaptable ways of communicating affection that can evolve over time, perhaps shifting with life stages, like from the heady days of new romance to the grounded realities of parenthood or aging. And the true beauty of it all? Once you identify your own primary language and that of your loved ones, you can start filling those emotional tanks deliberately and effectively. turning what might have been inevitable heartbreak into lasting, harmonious bonds that withstand the test of time. But how do these languages manifest in everyday life? Let's dive deeper, one by one, weaving in stories and reflections that bring them to vivid life. Let's ease into the first language with care, words of affirmation. This is the verbal sunshine that pierces through the thickest clouds of doubt, insecurity, and self-questioning, illuminating someone's inner world and making them feel truly seen, appreciated, and cherished in a way that lingers long after the words fade. It's not about hollow flattery, over-the-top hyperbole, or generic compliments that could apply to anyone. Rather, it's sincere, specific, and heartfelt acknowledgments that affirm a person's inherent worth, efforts, and unique qualities. For those whose primary love language is words of affirmation, hearing something as targeted as, "I love how you always find a way to make me laugh, even on my worst days when everything feels overwhelming. You have this incredible gift for lightening the load," can be more nourishing and revitalizing than a gourmet meal, a luxurious vacation, or any material possession. It's the encouragement whispered during a challenging project at work, the handwritten note slipped into a briefcase or lunchbox saying, "You're doing amazing things right now, pushing through with such determination. I'm so proud to call you mine." Or even a spontaneous text amid a hectic day, "Just thinking of you and how grateful I am for your unwavering support. You make my world brighter." But why does this particular language resonate so deeply for some individuals, while others might shrug it off as nice but not necessary? Often, it traces back to formative experiences in childhood, perhaps growing up in a household where verbal praise was scarce or conditional, leaving an emotional void that now craves filling through affirming words like a parched plant soaking up rain. Or maybe it's the opposite, a nurturing environment rich in encouragement that wired them to thrive on verbal validation. To make this even more tangible, take the story of Sarah, a driven professional in her 30s who's constantly balancing a high-stakes career in marketing with the demands of family life, including 2 young children who seem to have endless energy. Her days are a relentless whirlwind of client meetings, creative brainstorming sessions, tight deadlines, school pickups, and bedtime routines, leaving her emotionally drained and questioning her ability to keep it all together by the time evening rolls around. Her husband, Mike, is a practical, action-oriented soul who expresses his love primarily through tangible deeds. He shows up by tackling the household chores without prompting, fixing that annoying leaky faucet in the bathroom that she's been meaning to call a plumber for, handling the weekly grocery run complete with her favorite snacks, or even organizing the chaotic garage so she can park without stress. These acts are his heartfelt way of saying, "I care about you and want to make your life easier." But Sarah, whose emotional love tank is calibrated to words of affirmation, often feels overlooked and undervalued amidst the busyness. One particularly exhausting evening, after a grueling presentation at work that left her second-guessing her performance, she collapses onto the couch in a heap, tears welling up from a mix of frustration and fatigue. Mike, sensing her deep distress in a way he hadn't before, doesn't immediately default to his problem-solving mode by offering to cook dinner or run errands as he typically would. Instead, he sits down beside her on the worn cushions, takes her hand in his with a gentle squeeze, and says softly, deliberately, "You've been absolutely incredible this week, juggling everything with such strength, grace, and creativity. I see how hard you work, how much you pour into your job, our family, and I'm so proud to be your partner in all of this. You inspire me every single day with your resilience." Those words aren't just fleeting sounds in the air. They're a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters, pulling her back to shore. Sarah's face lights up like the sun breaking through storm clouds. Her shoulders relax as if a heavy weight has been lifted. And in that pivotal moment, she feels profoundly loved, her tank replenished to overflowing. But now, imagine the alternative scenario where Mike had stuck rigidly to his default love language, perhaps offering to make her favorite pasta dish instead. It might provide practical relief and a full stomach, but emotionally, Sarah would still feel that nagging emptiness gnawing at her, wondering silently if he truly appreciates her inner struggles and triumphs beyond the surface level. This is the subtle, yet immense power of words of affirmation. They bridge the invisible gap between good intentions and genuine perception, transforming everyday deeds into deeply heartfelt connections that resonate on a soul level. As you absorb this, pause for a moment. Have you ever felt uplifted by someone's specific praise, or conversely, deflated when it was absent? It might just hint at your own affinity for this language. Now, what if words, no matter how poetic or sincere, simply fall flat for someone, landing like rain on a waterproof surface without soaking in? That's precisely where the second love language, acts of service, steps into the spotlight with its grounded, practical approach. Here, love is vividly demonstrated through concrete actions that lighten the daily burden, making life smoother, less chaotic, and more manageable for the ones we hold dear. It's not about reluctant servitude, grudging obligations, or keeping score in a tit-for-tat game. Instead, it's a willing, joyful choice to serve out of genuine care and empathy, often anticipating needs before they're even voiced. For people who primarily speak and receive love through this language, something as straightforward as folding a mountain of laundry fresh from the dryer, preparing a comforting favorite meal after an exhausting day at the office, or running a series of errands to free up their precious time says, "I value you and your well-being louder and more convincingly than any eloquent sonnet, romantic declaration, or extravagant gesture ever could." It's the quiet heroism woven into the fabric of everyday life. Picking up the kids from soccer practice when your partner is swamped with work calls, handling the monthly bills and budgeting so they can unwind without worry, or even waking up early to scrape ice off the car windshield on a frosty morning. These acts whisper volumes. Your happiness and ease matter deeply to me, and I'm here to support you in the trenches of life. To illustrate this further and bring it home, consider the dynamic between Tom and Lisa, a couple in their 40s navigating the chaotic rhythm of midlife with two energetic teenagers, demanding careers in education and finance, and a home that's always buzzing with activity. Tom grew up in a blue-collar family where love was synonymous with rolling up your sleeves and getting things done. His father was the go-to neighborhood handyman, always fixing broken bikes for the kids or helping elderly neighbors with yard work, while his mother expressed her affection through meticulously prepared home-cooked meals and organizing family events that brought everyone together. So naturally, when Lisa vents about her overwhelming schedule, back-to-back client meetings that run late, PDA commitments that pile on, and an endless to-do list that includes everything from doctor's appointments to home repairs, Tom springs into action without hesitation. He vacuums the living room, prepares a nutritious dinner with all her preferred ingredients, even schedules the family car for its overdue maintenance to prevent any breakdowns. To him, these are profound, undeniable expressions of his love and commitment. But Lisa, whose primary love language leans heavily toward quality time, feels a growing undercurrent of frustration bubbling up. Why can't he just set aside the chores for a bit and sit with me on the porch, really talk about our day, our shared dreams for the kids' future, or even just hold space for my emotions? She thinks inwardly, interpreting his constant busyness as a form of emotional avoidance or disconnection. Tom, in turn, feels increasingly undervalued and perplexed, wondering why his tireless efforts to make her life easier seem to go unnoticed or unappreciated, like shouting into a void. This isn't a fundamental lack of love or compatibility. It's a classic translation error in the love languages department, where one person's dedicated service becomes another person's overlooked background noise, failing to register on an emotional level. If they took the time to pause, reflect, and learn each other's preferred dialects, Tom might realize that pairing his acts of service with intentional, distraction-free conversation time could amplify his message tenfold, making Lisa feel both supported practically and connected intimately. In response, Lisa could express her gratitude through reciprocal acts, like surprising him with a homemade lunch packed with care or handling a task he dreads. It's in these small, mindful adjustments that relationships evolve from merely functional partnerships to deeply fulfilling unions that weather storms with grace. Don't you find it thought-provoking? As we press on, reflect on your own experiences. When do you feel most supported and loved? Through uplifting words that inspire, or through dependable deeds that demonstrate unwavering care? That introspection might reveal more than you expect. Shifting our focus ever so gently to build on this foundation, let's explore the third love language, receiving gifts. This one often gets unfairly labeled as superficial, materialistic, or even greedy in a world that sometimes prizes minimalism over tokens. But strip away those misconceptions, and you'll discover it's fundamentally about the symbolism, the tangible, holdable evidence that someone was thinking of you, holding you in their mind and heart even when miles or obligations separate you. The true value here isn't measured in dollars, carats, or brand names. It's in the thoughtfulness, the personal touch that shows effort and attentiveness. A gift in this context could be something as simple yet profound as a wildflower picked during a solitary walk because its vibrant color reminded them of your radiant smile. A book on a niche topic you casually mentioned in conversation weeks ago, or a custom-engraved keychain featuring an inside joke that only the two of you share. For those who speak this language fluently, these items transcend their physical form to become cherished tokens of affection, serving as physical reminders they can touch, see, or wear during tough times, like an anchor in stormy seas. To paint a fuller picture and delve into the emotional layers, enter the world of Emily and David, whose story beautifully highlights how this language can either create symphony-like harmony or unintended discord in a relationship. Emily comes from a long lineage where gifts were intricately woven into the very fabric of expressing love. Her grandmother's heirloom necklace, passed down through generations, wasn't valuable in monetary terms but carried rich stories of family history, sacrifices, and intentional care that made it priceless. In her marriage to David, Emily channels this by constantly scouting for meaningful presents that reflect her deep attentiveness. A vintage watch to add to his growing collection of timepieces, tickets to a sold-out game featuring his favorite sports team that he's raved about for months, or a personalized mug etched with a quote from their very first date, evoking waves of nostalgia. David genuinely appreciates these gestures on a surface level, but since his core love language is physical touch, the gifts feel pleasant yet not truly nourishing to his soul. He'd much rather she curl up beside him on the couch after a long day, her hand resting in his, sharing silent comfort and warmth through proximity. Emily, picking up on his somewhat lukewarm responses over time, feels her thoughtful efforts dismissed or undervalued, leading to a quiet accumulation of hurt that simmers beneath the surface. Yet, if they tuned into each other's unique dialects with curiosity and openness, real magic could unfold. David might learn to accompany a spontaneous hug or caress with a small, thoughtful token, blending their languages seamlessly, while Emily discovers that following up a gift with a gentle massage or extended embrace deepens the connection exponentially, making the moment unforgettable. Isn't it intriguing how these 5 languages don't exist in isolated silos but interplay like individual notes in a complex melody, each enhancing and elevating the others to create a richer, more resonant symphony of love that plays on multiple levels? As you ponder this layer, ask yourself a personal question. What small, unexpected gift has ever made you feel extraordinarily valued and remembered? And what was it about that gesture that touched you so deeply? The answer could illuminate your own preferences in surprising ways. Building seamlessly on that harmonious interplay, quality time emerges as the 4th love language, where the greatest, most precious gift you can offer is your undivided, fully engaged presence in a world brimming with distractions. It's not about merely occupying the same physical space. Sitting side by side on the sofa while one scrolls through social media and the other checks work emails doesn't qualify as meaningful. Instead, it's about cultivating focused attention. Deep, uninterrupted conversations that delve into the heart of matters, shared adventures that create lasting memories, or even quiet moments of togetherness where the world fades away, leaving just the two of you in sync. For those who crave this language above all, an afternoon hike through lush trails discussing life goals and vulnerabilities, or an evening walk hand in hand under streetlights recounting the day's highs, lows, and humorous mishaps, fills their emotional reservoir like a revitalizing spring, quenching a thirst that no other form of love can satisfy. Let's vivify this concept even more with the heartfelt tale of Rachel and Ben, a couple whose journey underscores the transformative power of presence. Rachel flourished in a childhood home where quality time was treated as sacred ground, family game nights with no screens in sight, vacations centered on bonding activities like camping under the stars rather than rushed sightseeing tours, and evenings spent sharing stories around the dinner table. In her relationship with Ben, a devoted Words of Affirmation enthusiast who peppers her throughout the day with complimentary texts, verbal praise during meals, and notes of encouragement. She certainly feels the love on an intellectual level, but misses the profound depth that comes from shared moments. Ben's messages are undeniably sweet and uplifting, but when dinner conversations get interrupted by his quick glances at work emails or evenings devolve into parallel activities like scrolling on separate devices, Rachel's heart aches for that elusive sense of true connection, feeling like they're coexisting rather than truly living together. One transformative night that changed everything, Ben surprises her with intentionality. He powers off his phone and laptop completely, sets a cozy table with flickering candles and soft music, and dedicates the entire evening to just them, sharing vulnerable stories from their pasts, laughing uproariously over cherished memories, and dreaming aloud about their future adventures, with no agenda, no interruptions, and no rush. In that space, Rachel feels alive, cherished, and intimately bonded in a way that words alone could never fully achieve, her love tank overflowing with gratitude. But without this pivotal shift in awareness, resentment might have brewed slowly over time, leading to pointed accusations like, "You never make real time for us anymore," or feelings of emotional isolation. It's a poignant reminder in our hyper-connected, always-on digital age that true presence has become a rare and invaluable commodity, more precious than gold. When was the last time you gave someone, or received from them, your full, undivided attention without the pull of notifications or mental checklists? Could that simple act be the missing bridge to deeper, more satisfying bonds in your own life, whether with a partner, friend, or family member? Finally, rounding out the quintet of love languages is physical touch, a mode of expression as instinctive and primal as breathing itself, yet profoundly impactful in its ability to convey security, affection, and belonging. It's the lingering hugs that wrap you in warmth during moments of joy or sorrow, the tender kisses that speak of passion and tenderness, the reassuring hand on a shoulder amid stress. These aren't mere optional affections or casual add-ons. For those oriented toward this language, they're vital sustenance, essential nourishment that feeds the soul directly through the skin. A soothing back rub after a grueling day at work, cuddling closely during a lazy movie night on the couch, or even a playful nudge or arm around the waist while cooking together can communicate, "I'm here with you. I care deeply," more eloquently and immediately than the most articulate words or grandest gestures. To explore this further with nuance, think of Carlos and Mia's evolving story. Carlos hailed from a vibrant, expressive family where physical touch was a constant thread in daily interactions. Hugs for every greeting and goodbye, pats on the back for encouragement during challenges, and affectionate squeezes that said, "I love you," without needing utterance. In his partnership with Mia, an acts of service devotee who demonstrates her love by meticulously organizing his scattered work schedule, preparing nutritious meals tailored to his health needs, or handling household logistics with efficiency, Carlos instinctively reaches for physical closeness as his default mode, holding hands during walks, resting his head on her shoulder while reading. But Mia, while incredibly helpful and devoted in her actions, tends to maintain a certain physical distance due to her own upbringing, leading Carlos to feel emotionally starved and distant despite her efforts. During a particularly heated argument about balancing work and home priorities, where words fly like sparks, Carlos makes a conscious choice. Instead of escalating with more verbal defenses, he steps forward calmly and envelopes her in a gentle, reassuring embrace, holding her until the tension begins to melt away. In that raw moment, the physical connection bridges the gap, and Mia realizes with a rush of emotion how much she's craved that intimacy amid their busy, structured lives. Physical touch, however, always demands the utmost sensitivity. It's invariably consensual, respectful of boundaries, and thoughtfully adapted to the nature of the relationship. In non-romantic contexts like friendships, it might manifest as a supportive fist bump or high five. With children, a comforting bedtime cuddle or playful tickle fight. The essence remains consistent, using contact as a conduit to affirm connection, safety, and love in a world that can feel isolating. As these 5 languages, words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch, intertwine and overlap in the tapestry of human relationships, the true adventure begins. Identifying them not just in ourselves but in those around us, turning observation into action. How do you uncover these hidden preferences? Start by reflecting on patterns in complaints or requests. "You never say you appreciate what I do" often points squarely to a need for words of affirmation. "We hardly spend any real time together anymore" signals a hunger for quality time. Observe what you naturally gravitate toward when expressing love to others. That's frequently a mirror of your own primary language. Or, for a direct approach, simply pose the question with genuine curiosity. "What makes you feel most loved and valued in our relationship?" This seemingly simple inquiry can unlock doors that have been quietly closed for years, fostering vulnerability and understanding. Chapman illustrates this process with countless, compelling stories from his extensive counseling practice, where breakthroughs happen in the most unexpected ways. One couple, teetering precariously on the brink of divorce after years of mounting frustrations, discovered that he primarily spoke acts of service through diligent home repairs and financial management, while she yearned desperately for words of affirmation to feel emotionally affirmed. With guidance, he began verbalizing his intentions more explicitly. "I fixed the garage door today because I want our home to be safe and comfortable for you. I love you so much and admire your strength." In turn, she responded by incorporating service into her repertoire, like packing his lunches with loving notes tucked inside. Their marriage, not just salvaged from the ashes, but revived into something stronger, more resilient, and joyful than ever before, a testament to the power of adaptation. Expanding this framework beyond romantic partnerships, consider how it applies to family dynamics, where mismatches can create generational ripples. Children, too, have innate love languages that evolve as they grow, and tuning into them can profoundly shape their sense of security and self-worth. A clingy toddler who constantly seeks hugs and lap time might be signaling a primary need for physical touch. A teenager who spends hours drawing intricate artwork or crafting handmade cards for you could be expressing and craving love through gifts. Imagine a dedicated father who once defaulted to his own language of receiving gifts by showering his son with the latest toys and gadgets, only to notice the boy's withdrawn behavior and lack of enthusiasm. Upon reflection, he shifted gears to quality time, carving out dedicated evenings for building elaborate Lego forts together, telling imaginative stories, and just being present without distractions. The transformation was remarkable. The boy's eyes sparkled with joy, his confidence blossomed, and their bond deepened into an unbreakable foundation. Mismatches in parenting, however, can lead to unintended consequences. A service-oriented parent might clean their child's room meticulously as a show of care, but if the kid's language is quality time, it could feel invasive or controlling, breeding resentment or emotional withdrawal. Parenting, in this light, becomes an artful dance of translation, requiring ongoing attentiveness to foster healthy attachments. Friendships, though often subtler in their emotional demands, benefit immensely from this awareness as well. Your best friend who thrives on words of affirmation might light up from a thoughtful, encouraging phone call or text during a rough patch, while you personally crave shared experiences like coffee meetups or weekend hikes for quality time. Ignoring these differences can lead to gradual drift. "Why doesn't she text me back more often with updates?" Versus, "Why can't we just hang out in person like we used to?" But by learning and adapting to each other's languages, superficial acquaintances can evolve into soul-deep connections that provide unwavering support through life's twists and turns. What happens, though, when those emotional love tanks run dangerously empty, depleted by the relentless demands of modern life? Stressful jobs, personal losses, ongoing conflicts, or even global uncertainties. Chapman likens it to a car sputtering on fumes, unable to perform at its best. External factors inevitably drain our reserves, but the art of refilling lies in speaking directly to the other person's preferred language with empathy and intention. It's not about manipulation or scorekeeping. It's pure, selfless empathy in action. A way to say, "I see your needs and choose to meet them." Delving into the richer textures, each language has its own dialect's variations that add personalization and depth. For words of affirmation, it could be public praise in front of friends or private whispers of encouragement during vulnerable moments. Acts of service might range from grand gestures like planning a surprise vacation to daily routines like brewing morning coffee just right. Gifts could be experiential, such as a curated playlist of songs that evoke shared memories or tickets to a workshop on a mutual interest. Quality time dialects include adventurous outings like road trips or serene activities like reading books side by side in companionable silence. Physical touch varies from sensual caresses in intimate settings to comforting, platonic shoulder squeezes in times of need. These nuances make discovery an exciting, ongoing process, tailored uniquely to each relationship. Of course, challenges inevitably arise in applying this framework. Past traumas or hurts might block someone's natural language. For instance, if touch was associated with pain in childhood, it could feel unsafe even if it's their primary mode, requiring gentle healing through therapy or open dialogue. Cultural differences play a role too. Some societies prioritize acts of service over overt verbal praise, viewing the latter as unnecessary or boastful. Navigating these requires patience, compassion, and sometimes professional guidance to unpack layers. And don't overlook self-love in this equation. Apply the languages inward. Affirm your own achievements with positive self-talk. Treat yourself to a meaningful gift after a milestone. Carve out quality time for solitary reflection or hobbies. Perform acts of service for your well-being like meal prepping, or embrace physical touch through self-care like a warm bath or massage. As relationships naturally evolve over time, so too can love languages shift in priority. The intoxicating early stages of romance might favor physical touch and quality time, with stolen moments and endless conversations. But as life introduces children, career peaks, or aging parents, acts of service often rise to the forefront, becoming the glue that holds everything together. The key is staying attuned, reassessing periodically through check-ins like, how can I love you better right now? To keep the connection fresh and responsive. Extend this wisdom to broader circles like extended family dynamics. A mother-in-law whose language is receiving gifts might feel rejected if her carefully chosen presents are downplayed or forgotten. Responding in kind with a thoughtful token, or explaining your own language gently, can foster harmony and reduce holiday tensions. Even in professional settings, while not romantic, understanding appreciation languages can boost team morale and productivity. A boss who offers public words of affirmation motivates some employees, while others thrive on acts of service like mentorship or help with overwhelming tasks. Let's enrich this narrative with even more real-life tales to drive the points home. There's the husband who, after a devastating infidelity that shattered trust, learned his wife's primary need was quality time. He committed to dedicated evenings without distractions, slowly rebuilding their foundation through shared vulnerability. Healing didn't happen overnight, but the intentional presence paved the way. Or consider a single person navigating the dating world. By recognizing their own language early, say physical touch, they could spot mismatches sooner, avoiding heartbreak and seeking partners who naturally align, like those comfortable with affectionate gestures from the start. Critics of the love languages concept sometimes argue that it's oversimplified, lacking rigorous scientific backing or failing to account for how people often value multiple languages simultaneously without a strict hierarchy. Studies in psychology have shown that while the framework resonates intuitively, human emotions are multifaceted, influenced by factors like attachment styles or neurodiversity. Yet, as Chapman counters, it's not meant as a cure-all panacea but as a practical framework to spark awareness, communication, and empathy, a starting point that, when combined with deeper tools like couples therapy, can yield remarkable results. Taking a global lens adds another layer of fascination. In diverse cultures, these languages manifest in beautifully varied ways, yet the core principles hold universal appeal. A Japanese couple might express acts of service through meticulously prepared bento boxes for lunch, symbolizing care and foresight. An Italian family could lean into physical touch with exuberant hugs and cheek kisses at every gathering. In Scandinavian societies, quality time might shine through hygge-inspired cozy evenings by the fire. For singles or those in non-traditional relationships, the languages guide self-care practices and platonic bonds, ensuring emotional fulfillment doesn't hinge solely on romance. When it comes to healing broken bonds or navigating conflicts, pairing forgiveness with love languages amplifies efficacy. An apology delivered in the recipient's dialect, words for some, acts of restitution for others, lands with greater sincerity, paving the way for reconciliation. As we approach the culmination of this exploration, take a moment to reflect deeply. How might your life, your relationships, fundamentally change if you committed to speaking these languages fluently, with intention and grace? Marriages could be mended from the inside out, families drawn closer in unbreakable unity, friendships deepened into lifelong anchors, all through the simple act of personalized love. In essence, the 5 love languages, words of affirmation that uplift the spirit, acts of service that ease the journey, receiving gifts that symbolize thoughtfulness, quality time that fosters presence, and physical touch that grounds connection, serve as a timeless reminder that love isn't a generic, one-size-fits-all force. It's a deeply personalized expression, a bridge spanning the chasms of misunderstandings and assumptions that so often divide us. So, I challenge you today, observe your loved ones with fresh eyes. What language do they speak most fluently? Experiment with small gestures, communicate openly about your discoveries, and watch as your connections flourish like gardens in full bloom. Because in the end, love isn't solely about grand, cinematic gestures that make for good stories. It's about speaking heart to heart, in the precise way that resonates most profoundly, creating ripples of joy that extend far beyond the moment. What hidden revelation awaits in your next conversation? Only by listening and loving will you find out.